So my phone is probably gonna die, and we're trying to do the ninth book. Man, I got really nice and golden out there, that sun. So I'm gonna try to read this one real fast. Hold up. I'm on 1%, so wish me luck. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Right, if my phone dies, I'll just finish it later. So the theme is about a poor farmer trying to win back an old love with fame and fortune, but fails tragically. And if you saw the movie, you understand why. If personality, this is a famous line that I heard, and I had to listen to it like literally 20 times just to understand it and write it down. If personality is an unbroken series of successful jesters, then there was something gorgeous about him. That I was speechless when I heard that. It just blew my mind. That's why I had to keep listening to it. It was just amazing. Perfect literature, like it's style, the way it was written, it's just crazy, right? So this is one of my things that I wrote down. Why be ambitious? Why be rich? And for what cause? If it is for freedom, then dream with your soul. But if it is for materialistic things, then it will haunt you. You will miss the target every single time, even if you're the world's greatest sniper. If it is precision that you desire, then name your price, because it will be short-lived, forever burning faster than you can refuel the canister. Drinks, you say? Then the show must keep going on. The endless cycle of a spinning carousel with one direction, a full circle. You cannot buy love and happiness, but you can afford to make wrong decisions. To make the wrong decisions. And then basically, another sum of it, if you want the jewels, the cars, the house, or the person, then you first must have substance, self-worth, and reason. And that's basically The Great Gatsby, and my phone probably died. Boom. Whoever wished me luck, I made it. So this phone is dying too that I'm recording on. So essentially, just to go over the sums of it, and like, that book was like crazy. First of all, I saw like bits and parts of the movie too, and I think it like really played well on the story of the guy. And I don't want to give away the story, but I do want to kind of tell you like some parts of it. The guy name was I think his name was Jay Gatsby, and he was basically this, like, same thing, poor farmer. He was in the army. He was like in love with this woman, and she didn't really love him. It was just like a facade. He was trying to pretend that he was rich, and it failed. This guy swooped in and like married her that was actually of old money. And then he like went into a whole life of servitude, or like a life of torment, trying to gather enough fame, fortune, wealth, which is the same thing as fortune, and just this facade of a persona to create these wildest and lavish parties to attract her. Like in the book, he literally buys a house in this rich neighborhood next to her husband where they live at, and in the same neighborhood, literally the house right next to them. And no one knew who he was. He was like this mysterious man. No one knew if he was a murderer, however he got his money. And he wanted it that way to create mystery. Like he was like the Pink Panther or something, right? Like this mysterious figure. And this investigator that you have to figure out who he is, right? You want to know who this item, this elephant in the room. So he bought a house right next door to them. He became friends with someone, and really no one cared about him because he was just in this suit of trying to get this woman by acquiring all these things. So in the end, that's why it was tragic. He lost everything. And essentially, he moved next door to this guy who was married to the woman that stole his woman of his dreams, that never really loved him. But he was convinced that if he created more fame, wealth, and fortune and created this facade, and he was more famous than this dude, that he could win her back. And then through all these lavish parties, then the guy was like, yo, he was like, someone was asking him like, oh, you heard about all these lavish parties that have happened in his neighborhood, when he was at work and doing whatever he was doing. And they were like, oh no, I don't know. Like, where is that place at? And they were like, oh, it's in so-and-so address. And he was like, yo, that's right next door to me. So he didn't even know who this guy was. And then he got an invitation Like he never like Gatsby never invited anyone personally. Like people just showed up to his parties. He would throw parties and no one would know who the person who hosted the party. They just knew his name and they would show up and have this crazy party and go home. And he just kept doing it over and over. So he was the first person to formally get invited. So of course he's gonna show up, right? He shows up, and then Gatsby was like, I know, I got her. Like now I befriend this guy. I'm hanging out with him. I got him to come to my party. He's intrigued. He's going to bring his wife because she's been curious of who Gatsby is. She gets there, and then, you know, ultimately, longer in the story, they're trying to, like, he's trying to get her back. And it just, like, ends tragic. So, that's why, like, I basically kind of wrote that you need to have substance, self-worth, and reason, like in those three things, in whatever order, which way you want to do it, which one's the right way to do it, before you can acquire the things. Because he could have won it, like, and I say this, like, after seeing bits and part of the movie, seeing the trailer, listening to the book, he could have won and had the most, like, lavish lifestyle that he wanted, but at a smaller level. Like he acquired all this money, and I'm not going to tell you how he did it. You know, you probably already know. But he acquired all this money, this fame. He could have just found an ordinary woman who would have loved him for who he was and not, like, what these parties he threw. And he could have, like, dropped down the facade of being, like, the flashy dude, just lived in a rich neighborhood, lived a nice lifestyle, and had this woman, and would acquire the one thing that he wanted, which was to be loved, to have fulfillment, purpose. Instead of, like, creating a facade for so long, trying to get a woman who was married, that didn't really love him, and that had her own, like, nasty, like, insecurities, and they were, like, sort of, like, seductive because they were, like, self-sabotaging and self-destructive. Like, why would you even want a person like that? But that's just, he was self-destructive in his own way because he was chasing after this person who wasn't even good for him in the beginning. So, it's crazy. You should watch it, listen to it. That's the 9 books that I listened to, and those were my takes. So far, let me know if you think that I'm really learning a lot, if I'm becoming wiser, and should I keep reading, which I'm already going to keep doing that and listen. But anyway.